How did castles survive sieges in the Middle Ages? How did these stone giants stand tall against battering rams, catapults, and the relentless assault of hungry armies? Join me on a journey back to the era of knights and chivalry. We'll explore the secrets hidden within the towering walls and uncover the ingenious tactics that allowed castles to withstand even the most determined attacks. Picture yourself standing on top of a castle wall, the wind whipping through your hair, and below you, an army lays siege to the stronghold. What would you do when the cannon fire starts raining down upon you? Welcome to my channel, and today we are exploring the Middle Ages and answering the how did castles survive sieges in the Middle Ages? Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss out on our new episodes. You can also watch our other videos which cover all aspects of the Middle Ages. Castles weren't just places where kings and queens lived. They were strategic strongholds and military fortresses. Their design was primarily focused on defense, making it incredibly difficult for invaders to gain access. One of the castle's most recognizable features was its thick and sturdy walls. These massive structures were typically built from stone and were designed to withstand the force of cannon fire, catapults, and other siege engines. The thickness of the walls varied, but some could be as thick as 10 meters. This made it virtually impossible for attackers to break through the walls with brute force alone. But the walls were only the beginning. The castle's layout was also designed with defense in mind. Most castles featured multiple layers of protection known as concentric defenses. This meant that there were several lines of defense within the castle walls, making it extremely challenging for invaders to penetrate all the way to the heart of the fortress. And let's not forget about the moats. Many castles were surrounded by deep, wide moats that were filled with water or thick, sticky mud. This made it difficult for attackers to get close to the walls without being detected. And once they were in the moat, they were vulnerable to the castle's archers and defenders armed with bows and arrows, spears and swords. But what if the attackers managed to breach the walls or sneak through the castle's defenses? What then? Castles had contingency plans for such eventualities. They featured narrow passageways and staircases that forced attackers to move in single file, making them easy targets. There were also hidden passageways and escape tunnels that allowed defenders to retreat to safer areas of the castle. Some castles even had secret passages that led to neighboring castles or friendly territory, allowing for stealthy evacuations when necessary. The design of the castle wasn't the only factor in its ability to withstand sieges. The availability of resources also played a crucial role. A well-provisioned castle could hold out for extended periods, even if it came under attack. Food, water, and other supplies were stored within the castle walls, ensuring that the defenders could survive for weeks or even months without outside assistance. Castles often had underground chambers or storehouses where provisions were kept safe from prying eyes and potential invaders. Water was a particularly vital resource during a siege. If the castle's defenders ran out of water, they would quickly become dehydrated and unable to fight. To prevent this, castles typically had deep wells that reached underground water sources. These wells provided a reliable source of fresh water, shielding the defenders from the enemy's attempts to cut off their supply. Some castles even had secret tunnels that connected to nearby water sources, enabling the delivery of fresh water even if the castle was under siege. Castles also implemented clever psychological tactics to intimidate attackers and boost the morale of their own troops. Castles were often built on elevated pieces of land or natural features like hills, providing defenders with a vantage point over the surrounding area. This allowed them to monitor the movements of the enemy, anticipate potential attacks, and respond accordingly. Being on higher ground also gave the defenders a psychological advantage. As they looked down on the attackers, they appeared less threatening, while the defenders seemed more powerful and imposing. Lighting played a crucial role in both offense and defense. Castles strategically placed towers with torches or rudimentary lighting systems to illuminate the battlements and pathways, giving defenders better visibility to spot incoming threats. They also utilized illumination as a means of communication, sending coded light signals to neighboring castles or relaying messages to troops. Even simple things like the choice of colors for castle flags and banners carried symbolic meanings to inspire their own troops and intimidate the enemy. Castles were built to withstand direct attacks, but they also had to protect against the sneaky and insidious methods employed by sieging forces. Psychological warfare was a common tactic used by armies to demoralize the defenders and potentially force them to surrender without a fight. Castles had to be prepared to counter these tactics to maintain the morale of their troops and endure the siege. One common form of psychological warfare was the use of loud noises and sounds to disorient and frighten the defenders. Loud, unexpected sounds like blasts from trumpets or drums could be used to startle the inhabitants of a castle and create a sense of chaos and confusion. Another tactic was the use of visual displays and symbols. For example, the siegers might hang banners or flags, displaying images or messages intended to demoralize the defenders. These could include images of animals known for their ferocity or threatening messages from the besieging army. But perhaps the most unsettling tactic was the use of human effigies. During sieges, the attackers might erect mock gallows or display effigies of people meant to represent the defenders. These grim displays were intended to instill fear and suggest the fate that awaited the castle's inhabitants if they resisted. To counteract these tactics, castles often had their own symbols and emblems displayed prominently throughout the fortress. These served to boost the morale of the defenders and remind them of the values and ideals they were fighting for. The presence of religious symbols and figures was also common, as faith played a significant role in medieval life, and people often found solace and strength in their beliefs during times of adversity. The clash between castles and siege technology was an evolving battle. As castles improved their defensive measures, siege techniques also advanced. Siege weapons like catapults, trebuchets, and battering rams were formidable tools that siegers employed to breach castle walls. Catapults and trebuchets hurled projectiles over the castle walls, attempting to break through the defenses. Battering rams, on the other hand, were used to pound against the gates and weaken the structure until it gave way. To counter these threats, castles incorporated features like arrow slits and loopholes that allowed defenders to fire arrows and other projectiles at the siege engines, disrupting their operation and inflicting damage. Castles also constructed sturdy gates reinforced with iron bars or wooden shutters to resist the impact of battering rams. As the siege dragged on, the attackers often resorted to digging tunnels under the castle walls to undermine their strength. These tunnels, known as mining galleries, were dug by sappers using tools such as picks and shovels. Once a tunnel reached a certain depth, the attackers could create an explosive charge and detonate it, causing the tunnel to collapse beneath the castle. However, castles had ways to detect and defend against tunneling. They had watchmen who patrolled the battlements, keeping a vigilant lookout for any signs of tunneling, such as surface disturbances or strange sounds. Additionally, some castles installed devices like vibrating plates or acoustic sensors that could alert defenders to the presence of underground diggers. In response to these challenges, castles continuously adapted and evolved their defensive strategies. Castles experimented with innovative designs incorporating features like concealed murder holes that allowed defenders to drop objects or molten substances on unsuspecting attackers. Others employed counterweight trebuchets, which used weights suspended from a leva to hurl projectiles back at the attackers. Castles also kept detailed records of siege warfare, documenting successful tactics and learning from their failures. This knowledge was shared among medieval engineers and military strategists, ensuring that each new castle was more resilient than the last. Today, the legacy of castles continues to captivate us, standing as enduring symbols of medieval engineering and military strategy. Whether you're exploring a majestic ruin or walking through a well-preserved fortress, the ingenuity and determination of those who built and defended these structures never ceases to amaze. Have you ever visited a castle that impressed you? Share your experiences in the comments section. Thank you for joining me on this journey through time. I hope you've enjoyed learning how castles survived sieges in the Middle Ages. Don't forget to hit the like button if you've enjoyed the video and want to see more like it. Subscribe to be part of our community. And until next time, keep exploring the fascinating world of the Middle Ages.